Hi there crafters, Louise here. Thanks so much for checking out this 12 by 12 scrapbook layout. It's inspired by the National Scrap Day sketch provided by, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Jennifer Gagney. I apologise if I completely mutilated that, but I loved this sketch. I saw it pop up on Facebook and I was looking for some inspiration to get my creativity going, and I thought, yeah, this is a kind of sketch I can get involved with. And so I am going with a couple of patterned papers from my 100 pattern paper stash. So this one, I think, I can't actually see what that says, but I think it was a 2020 paper. And then this sort of patterned one is a Vicky Boughton paper. So essentially, I have pulled a whole bunch of ephemera from stash. I had this idea, like I know that the sketch has florals, but for me, I had this idea where I wanted to not use florals. So to show you sort of when you're looking at the bones of a sketch, you don't necessarily have to, go with exactly what's in the sketch. You can interpret it in your own way. And for me, the interpretation is that there's this cluster down the left-hand side of the photo. And so I'm going to start with a little tip that I shared previously, which was to build your cluster on a background piece of paper so that it's really highly movable, so that you're not locked into sticking that particular piece of ephemera down onto your background paper. And this for me gives me a really great chance to build and sort of adjust on this piece of scrap before I'm actually committed to putting it into my actual background. So for me, this is a really great technique, and that's the way I sometimes, particularly if I've got a lot of ephemera pieces, like you can see I'm using here, there's lots of different pieces. So I want to be able to kind of move them around and reposition them. And it's really easy once I've made this cluster to actually just go ahead and stick it onto the background. All right, so having a look at what I've got, you might spot a few really old Simple Stories. Not Simple Stories. Oh my gosh. Cocoa Vanilla. So there's the one of the boy collections from Cocoa Vanilla. I have no idea what it's called. Somebody leave a comment if you know what it's called. I'm terrible at remembering the names of collections. I just look at them and I know who makes them, but I can't remember what they call them. Anyway, and then there's a Simple Stories pack of ephemera here. It's something to do with bro, like hey bro, or something along those lines. And this felt really good. I really, the stash busting element here of just creating creating this cluster and getting some of these pieces used up. You can see I'm teaming it with some 49er market, some leafy florals, and a few of those acetate pieces. But yeah, I'm really trying to sort of stay away from floral pieces in this clustering. And I chose a photo with not the intention of matching it to the cluster that I'm making, but it really comes out quite well. Obviously, it's the school photo. It's the first day of the last year of primary school for my boys. So yeah, try and say that really quickly. But essentially, these ephemera work really well. You know, there's the gamer pieces, and hit snooze on the alarm clock, and the water bottle, and the skull and crossbones. I think this just worked out really well. After I am sort of done with my clustering, that's when I get a little bit stuck. So I felt like the background definitely needed something. The pattern paper alone was not enough, and the sketch itself did have sort of that explosion of medium. And I don't know, I recently did a video with some packaging techniques smushing in the background, and I didn't love it. I need to have a go at it again. I don't know if it was the medium that I used or my paper or something happened. I just, my smushing was not smushing. And so I need to revisit that again on a non-video layout and really have a go at that and see if I can create a background that I actually think is usable, because I wasn't completely happy with my last smooshed background. And so where I'm going with this is that I don't want to do that in this layout. So I know I need something in my background, but I'm a bit unsure just what that might be. So I need to, I need to put it aside, have a little think about it, which is what I do sometimes when I am creating. I will just leave my layout sit on the desk, I'll go work on something else, and then I'll come back to it. And after it sat there for a little while, I still struggled with how I was going to do it. I wanted to use inks. So I wanted to use my distress inks and add color. I knew that. And I didn't want to just pull out a stencil and stencil on a background, because that's something that I do often. And you know, you've seen me do that. So I wanted to do something different. And I really like squares. What can I say? You could do this with circles, hexagons, but essentially I am going to start with some measured squares first, and then I'm going to just hand doodle some different size squares here as well. Have a bit of a sort of a look and a think of where the squares should be positioned, and then I'm going to add some color to those squares. Just really basic, pull out the distress inks, add color to each of those squares, and really just build a background. So the technique itself is not hard, but hopefully it inspires you to have a go at something like this, because that's what I'm about when I create layouts to share on YouTube, is just showing you different ways you can use your products, how to create backgrounds, fun things that you can do. So it doesn't have to be super technical. You could do less squares, you could do more squares, you could do them all in one color. I sort of am using the little happy days as my color inspiration. I mean, apart from blue, because there's no blue in there, but I had to have blue. It's a boys layout. Of course it had to have blue. But yeah, essentially, I think this background's really fun. I like the color. I like the square pieces. I think, blends really well, works nicely over the sort of more neutral ephemera that I have going on. And I enjoyed this. I think it's something a little bit different. It inspired me to think a bit more outside the box and not just reach for my standard techniques every time I'm creating. So I really like that little pop of colour. I think everything came together quite beautifully. I am, of course, if you've seen my videos, going to glue everything down, because I need to have glue in the Queensland heat. Otherwise my layouts fall apart. And I have the final stages, which is some journaling. And then I'm going to just add a few little stars, and again trying to coordinate with the colours that I have already used in this background and clustering. So slightly longer video from me and a lot more waffling than normal. So if you've stuck it out this far, thanks so much for staying with me. I hope you enjoyed the background. I think it's super fun. And if you have a go at this, make sure you tag me and share it, because I love to see, that my layout has inspired your creativity. So thank you. And as always, I wish you happy scrapbooking.